My new project is an antique German-made wall-mounted box clock from the early 20th century, after World War I. The box clock case is minimalist by design. They usually have a simple square or rectangular case. They've got no finials like Vienna Regulator clocks, the popularity of which began to wane in the early part of the 20th century. They were made by Gustav Becker, HAC, Hermle and Kienzle. They featured white or silver dials, Arabic or Roman numerals, and simple black spear hands for better contrast. This is a movement from the German box clock case we saw before. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it to pieces. So the first thing we'll do, we might actually take the hands off first, I think. They look a little bit precarious on there. And they've got a tapered pin in there that I'll take out. Tiny little thing. All right, we'll probably have to make a new one to put in later. Take the hands off. Oh, got a hole in my glove already. Little spacer on the top there. Minute hand, this is the hour hand. It's friction fit, so we'll just turn it slowly, left and right, and it'll come off. Yep, that's got him. You'll notice there's no brand or any trademark or anything on the front. And I had a look and it looks like there might be the top of some letters down there. And I thought, all right, well, maybe the bezel is covering the name. But then if you look up here, you've got those same little black marks there and over there. So I have a feeling it's more likely someone has put the bezel on and it's scratched the surface of the face. So the only marking I can see on it at the moment, other than the length of the pendulum over here, 4.3 centimeters, is YK. It's obviously German in construction. We've seen those type of barrels before on Kienzle clocks. So whether it's a Kienzle or some other brand, I don't know, but it's certainly a German clock. And you can see here when we look, the first thing we notice, I'll get it a bit closer, we go. First thing we notice is a hole there and a hole there. That should have the pivot that you can see there. The pivots from the mainspring barrels in it. And they're not in their relative hole. There's one. And push the other one. See if it snaps in. Two. Well, rather intriguing. I don't know what that was all about, but they were certainly not in their position. That's for sure. Right, we've taken the hands off, so we can now lie the face down relatively carefully, without any dramas, we hope. We'll now take this board off here that holds the movement into the case. A couple of rusty screws, cheese head screws, rusty ones, with a washer behind them. I'll take the other one off. That piece of timber will then drop off. So that'll be out of the road. We'll clean those up, they're a bit rusty. Clean them up before they go back on. Put them over there, put that out of the road. And there's our movement. So how do we remove the movement? That's very easy to see. That's one of the most horrible looking tapered pins you've ever seen. There's another one. There's one there and there's one there. They didn't even bother to cut them off and make a bodgy job. They just jammed them in, and that was fair enough apparently. All right, well, we'll take those out, get a pair of pliers. They'll have to be replaced, of course, and cut to the correct size. But I dare say they probably hammered the damn things in too by the feel of that. There's one. I'll keep a hand on the movement so it doesn't move while we're dragging these horrible things out. That's two. Number three. And the fourth one. It's probably considered minimalist clock repair to do that, because you're not wasting time producing a job that you'd be proud to put your name on. You just jam any old thing in and that'll do, so people aren't going to look inside the movement, so it doesn't matter what crap job you do. What do we find here? This is rather intriguing. Having found that the barrels weren't in their correct position, we now find we've now got a click out here in the middle of nowhere with the click spring inside it, so that's never going to work. And the other click here is jammed in behind the ratchet, and there's the click spring, nowhere near it at all. Alright, so with those four features on the clock, before we get in to look inside it, I've a little bit dread as what we may find in there, because those things are obviously bad. So I would assume that someone has tried to put it together, couldn't do it, and just jammed it in together and put it in an auction to get rid of it. There's the only trademark or brand I can see in it, YK. There's nothing on the other side here. I had a quick look online. I couldn't find anything about it, so I'll have a closer look and see if I can track down some information on that. Where's our 4-inch PVC pipe? Very nice, thank you very much. Now, before we get into any other mischief, we're going to take this tapered pin out that holds the suspension spring in. You'll be able to see in a moment it's of commensurate quality with the other ones we took out, and it's bent. They've bent it up that way too. What a horrible mess. Another classic modern art tapered pin. Looks more like a J-hook with that ghastly end on it. Right, now gave us a little bit more light on that. Lighten it up. I might see if I can leave that there for a little while. Alright, that's going to click onto there, and that will come out of there, and we're going to have to take the pendulum leader. I'll see if I can twist it over. No, it's not going to twist over. Alright, we'll have to be very careful. I'll take this, I think it goes in that way. They put it in back to front too, but you can't have everything. I'll take this tapered pin out so that we can keep an eye on our, it's bent over too. Isn't that a shock? That is tight. Well, I'm going to have to open up the bottom of the crutch a tiny little bit so that we can get the pendulum leader out. I don't particularly like, no, that's not going to come out. Alright, we'll do it the other way. I'll bend that back, being careful of the suspension spring, and I'll remove the pallets. That'll solve the problem. Right, now we'll take the pallets out, undo these two screws here that naturally are, it's in there tightly. Someone's taken a Charles Atlas course instead of taking a clock repair course. I can't move that. Isn't that incredible? I'd probably put it on with a power screwdriver or something. Alright, I've already put a scratch on that, it's so hard. I'll take that off online. Alright, I'll loosen those two screws. I had to use a much larger screwdriver so I could get a bit more purchase on it. But I'll take those screws out one at a time, pop them in a dish, and that one. Pair of tweezers, lift that up. Now we can take the back cock off, which is that piece there, and the pallets will now come out. So we've now got this piece out. We'll have a look at the pallets. A little bit of marking on them there. You can see they're a little bit shiny. A couple of shiny spots on them. They don't seem to be worn, they're just shiny. In other words, they're worn very, very little. The other thing I discovered when I was removing these tapered pins, both ends, this one here you can see I had to cut it off. Whoever put them in has deliberately bent them up, I imagine, so they won't fall out. So it would definitely appear that the concept of what a taper is totally escaped the person who did that. A tapered pin won't fall out because the taper itself holds it in place. Alright, that piece is right now. There's our suspension spring, and you can still see there's a little knob there, so I'll have to be very, very careful taking that out. I don't think my cutters will be able to get any closer, so I think what I'm going to have to do is to place the suspension spring that way in my bench vise, and then using my piercing saw cut that piece off, because you can see it's still bent over. So yeah, sometimes some concepts are a little bit hard for some people to understand. That's not going to move out of there, but I'm not going to tackle it now because we're going to run into more trouble than it's worth. Alright, now back to the movement, and scope wheel turns alright. Alright, next thing I'll do, this brass arm here has a screw in it, and that screws into the back of the case to hold it in place. There's only one of them, so I'll remove that. What do we got? It looks a bit bigger than 5mm, 6mm, which is the usual size. That's 6mm, and it fits nicely, so it's 6mm. We'll loose them off a tiny bit to get them started, and right, pop those back in there. I don't need those. And here's my pet peeve, along with my close friend Bill: excess oil. Look at the muck on that. Congealed oil, dirt, grease, and who knows what not else. How attractive's that? That's without trying. Fair enough. Alright, there you go, Bill. That was for you. Get well soon, buddy. A huge thank you to my Patreon and YouTube members who make this video possible. Without their kind help, I would not be able to keep this channel alive and to make these videos for a living. I can't thank them enough. If you want to support my channel, join my Patreon or YouTube, or make a $2 donation on my Ko-fi page.